Okay, we built the chair and now we're going to build a table to go with it. And this is what I came up with. I just went ahead and looked for an idea for some measurements and found this one. And coincidentally, you can get these plans, and the designer used SketchUp to create this table. She doesn't say so, but I've done enough SketchUp work to know SketchUp work when I see it. So we're going to not make the exact same table, but we're going to make what I think is just a little bit better one. And being the world's laziest retired STEM teacher, I'm going to try to do this with the least amount of work possible. Now, along the way, a couple of things you need to do. First of all, if you're not familiar with this guide that I made right here, it has examples of all the different commands within SketchUp. I'll put a link in the description, as they say, and you can refer to that. I'm going to use a great number of keyboard shortcuts. That's just what I'm used to. So if I want to make a line, instead of clicking on the line tool, I'm just going to type in the letter L, and you'll see it come up here, and I'll also verbally tell you what I'm working with. I'm going to have the instructor open here. You should have the instructor open as well. Here's your modifier keys along with an example of how to use the line tool. One more thing I want you to do is I have set up my version of SketchUp so that when I type the X key, I get X-ray. And you can do this too. So just come up to the little magnifying glass, start to type in the word X-ray, and here you can manually toggle it on and off. So if you put an X in this area right here, and then go ahead and close it, then every time you press the X key, it toggles X-ray on and off. So let's go ahead and get started. Take a look at what we have here. I'm going to tap on X-ray so you can see inside. I made tapered legs. I'll show you how to do that. I have a slightly different top. Everything that I used is conventional lumber that you'd get like at Home Depot or Lowe's or your local lumber yard. I also put in gussets or corner braces for the legs to strengthen our table, and I'll explain the rest as we go along. So what I'm going to do, since this is all grouped together, is I'm going to go ahead and click on this, right click, and hide it. So I'm also going to take and hide this chair, and let's get started with our first leg. So we're going to make the legs out of 4x4s, and so I'll type in R for rectangle, and 4x4s are not really 4 inches by 4 inches, they're really 3.5 comma 3.5 inches. And then I'm going to take and type in P for push pull, and I'm going to pull this up 12 inches. Now the height of almost all tables is 30 inches. And so I want my leg to be about 29. Now the reason I went up 12 will become apparent in a moment. So if I want 29 and I only brought this up 12, I need to take and pull this up an additional 17 inches. Now before I do that, when I start to pull this up and type in 17, I'm going to tap my Option key. And what that does is that makes, if you will, a new box on top of the old box. So I'll pull this up 17 inches and hit enter, and there is the beginning of my table leg. Now to put the taper on it, here's what I'm going to do. And this is a new skill. So it looks like I'm going to have to roll it up here and grab that face there. And then with that face selected, type in S for scale. And that presents me with these grips going around the edge here. So if I grab this corner grip and start to pull in, it pulls it over like that. And maybe that's what you want. However, I'm going to undo that, and instead, if you hold down your Option key, you get a grip in the middle, and then what it does is it pulls it in uniformly about that center point. So how's that look? Yeah, that looks fine. So now we're going to take and turn X-ray off, and I'm going to go Shift Z so that I can see all my work. I'm going to triple click on this, or I could go Command A or Control A, select all, right click, and make it a group. So now anything that I draw on this is not affecting this table leg. It is protected, if you will. If you want to edit it, just double click on it and you'll get this dashed box around, and then you can take and see if you wanted to delete that face, you could. Of course you don't, so I'm going to undo that. Click outside to turn editing off, and it's now protected. This is an illustration, again completed in SketchUp from that website that I pointed out to you and linked in the description. And again, it's about 30 inches tall, 60 inches or 5 feet long, and she made hers 33 3/4 inch wide, probably because she chose these heavy planks for the top and didn't want to have to make them narrower by resawing them. But I'm just going to go ahead and make mine 36 inches. So our tabletop is going to be 5 feet by 3 feet. Now, all four legs and this rail along here and this rail along here are all symmetrical. So I'm going to make one and then do some copy pasting and some turning inside out so that I only have to make one and then can duplicate that work, because again, I am the laziest retired STEM teacher on the planet. So let's go ahead and get a nice view here like this, and let's go ahead and make one of the first rails. So I'll type in R for rectangle, and I'll come up here and come down the size of a 2x4, which is actually 1.5 by 3.5. So I'll type in 3.5, comma 1.5, and there we have it. Now that is a face on a group, as the pop-up tells you. So I'm going to be able to push-pull that. By the way, if you type in the numbers backwards, like 1.5, comma 3.5, and it goes across like that, then without clicking anywhere, just go ahead and do the opposite. Just again type in 3.5, comma 1.5, and you get the orientation correct. So now I'll grab my select tool, select this face, P for push pull. I'm going to pull out half of the distance, so that will be 26.5 inches. Hit return, go Shift Z so that I can see it all, and I've now got half of this rail. So I'm going to triple click on it to select it all, right click, and make it a group. And then I'm going to orbit around to the other side, pan over a little bit and do the same thing. R for rectangle, pull down along here, just kind of eyeball it. I'm looking down my measurement dialog box so that I can get it right the first time, and type in 3.5, comma 1.5 inches, and there's that. By the way, that dual shading is called inference. That means you have a face on top of a face. They are coplanar. So again, P for push pull. I'll pull this out. The total length of the rail, or the width of the table, is 36 inches. Half of that is 18, and a 4x4 is 3.5, so 18 minus 3.5, 14.5. Hit enter. Shift Z so I can see it all, except the instructor's in the way. And this is not a group yet, because I can select the individual parts of it, the edges and the faces. So again, triple click on it, right click, make it a group. If you haven't done so yet, make sure that you click on Save up here in the corner. It's supposed to automatically save, but it never hurts. So next thing I'm going to do is take and put on the corner braces. So I'm going to have to take and put a notch in my table leg. So I'm going to double click on it to open up the group. I'm going to draw a line across here like this, and what that does for me is it splits this into two different faces. So now I can take this face, type in P for push pull, and pull it down, and I'll just mouse over here till I get to that edge on the bottom of one of the rails and click, and I've now got a notch in my table leg. So I'm going to click outside here, and now I'm going to take and build the actual brace itself. So L for line, and I'm going to draw another line across here. And then I'm going to take my tape measure tool, and I'm going to just mouse along the edge. Don't go to the midpoint. That's the one place you can't go. But just somewhere across here. And I'm going to click and hold down my mouse button, and I'm going to pull out a guide, and I'm going to mouse over here so that it's even with the top of this face. I'm going to pull it out, and then when I let go of my mouse, I'm just type in 1.5, and I've now got a guide across there, except I can't see it, can I? And I know what the problem is. If you click on little eyeglasses here, you'll notice that guides, the visibility, is turned off. So I'll turn it on, and there's my guideline. So with the guideline in place, I'll go ahead and now just draw a line out here to here, and then come across to this intersection, and then come to this intersection, or endpoint rather, and when I go ahead and click, it should fill in a face, and it does. So now P for push-pull, and I'm going to pull this down, and just mouse over here slowly, and it will grab that edge in the group, and that automatically makes it the same height as the other rails, which is 3.5 inches. So at this point, I'm going to triple click on that corner brace, right click, and make it a group. And the base of our table is almost done. So I'll click on save, and then we'll go about taking and copying and rotating and building the rest of our table in just a few mouse clicks while learning a few new things along the way. So this is going to be fun, mostly because we're going to be able to create 3 more identical parts, or nearly identical parts, without having to do all of that work again. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the visibility of the guidelines, because I don't really need to see those anymore. I could erase them, but who knows if we're going to have to come back to those guidelines or not. Then I'm going to tap my space bar to get the select tool, and I'm going to draw a box from the top left down to the lower right. And you'll notice that the selection box is solid, and what that means is that it is only going to select the elements that are completely enclosed by the box. So that selects my 4 different groups, and now I'm going to take and right click and make them one single group. So basically what I have going on is that I've now got one big group made up of the 4 smaller groups, and you can drill down by double clicking and edit the different groups if you want to change something. But what we want to do is take and rotate this around and make a copy of it. So I'm going to type in Q for rotate, and that gives me a protractor. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it anywhere. It doesn't really matter. Let's just go ahead and put it right there. And I'm going to click once, and I'm going to come out here and click again along the green axis, and then I'm going to start to pull it around. But I want to make a copy in addition to rotating it. So before I click my mouse again to select its final location, I'm going to tap the Option or Alt key. And I'm going to come around 180 degrees. Just like that. So now I have my second part, and I'm just going to go ahead and move it. So M for move, I'll just click down in that corner, and I'll zoom out some. I'll just put it over there. Just don't want it to be in the way. So now I'm going to come back to this first group here, and I am going to copy it. So Command or Control C, paste it. I'll put one, say up there, and put another one, say right there. And then I need to take and turn them inside out, if you will. So with one of my parts selected, I'm going to go ahead and type in S for scale, and I'm going to grab one of these middle grips, like there or there, doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to take and hold down my mouse button, and I'm going to start to pull it inside out. Now, how far do I pull it? I'm pulling it along the red scale in this case, and I'm here to tell you that if you want to mirror an object exactly, the number is always -1. So I type in -1, hit enter, and I've now got perfectly mirrored part without having to do any extra modeling. So now I'm going to move it, and I'll click right here up in this corner, and I'll come down there and put it there, and we've now got half our table. So let's see. This part right here, I can take and move it. And there's lots of ways to do this, folks. So now what I need to do is take and mirror this one. So I'll select it, S for scale, grab a grip in the center, start to pull it, type in -1, hit enter, and then I need to rotate it around, so 180 degrees. So Q for rotate. I can click anywhere, doesn't matter, but go along the red axis, pull it around 180 degrees like that, and click one more time, and then M for move, grab that top corner and put it right there, and there is the base of our table. Now that leaves me with splits right here, but that doesn't bother me a bit. You know, if you want to take and edit these and make solid pieces, you could go ahead and do that, but it just kind of lengthens the whole lesson. I wanted to show you how you could use rotate and copying, and how you can scale with a factor of -1 to save yourself a whole bunch of work. So if you're okay with those little lines right there and saving some time, I am too. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a selection box, and you'll notice this time it's dashed because I'm selecting from top right to lower left, and all I have to do is make sure I have a little bit of each of those 4 pieces contained within the box, and it selects them all. And I'm going to take and group them together. And last thing I'm going to do is then take and put in a board going across to support the middle of the table. So I'll just go ahead and draw on this face. I'm going to draw a rectangle there, and I'm going to type in 1.5 comma 3.5 and hit enter, and there's that inference again. P for push pull, and I'm going to pull this across till it's even with that edge of the group. Then I'm going to triple click on it and make it a group, and then I'm going to move it into position. So I'm going to come up here, type move for my base point. I'm going to pick the midpoint in the group, and then I'm going to slide this along the red axis to that endpoint in the other group. And now the base of our table is done. So I'll click save, and next we'll move to the tabletop. So here we are back at the illustration of the designer, and this dimension here is 33 3/4 inches wide. We made ours 36. Now the reason she did that is that she used 3 2x12s, and 2x12s aren't actually 12 inches wide, they're actually 11 1/4 inches wide. She butted them together and add those 3 numbers up, and that's how you get to 33 3/4. And that's a good way to do it. Me, I'm going to use 2x6s. They don't cup as much, they're cheaper, they're not as heavy, and I'm not going to necessarily butt them together. I just want to fill up the tabletop. So a 2x6 is actually 5.5 inches wide. So I'm going to turn back on my guide visibility, and then I'm going to come in here and type in T for tape measure. And I'm just going to grab that edge there, and I'm going to pull along this face along the green axis. I'm going to let go and then type in 5.5 inches. So I'll then take and make a rectangle from this intersection up here down to the corner of my table, and then P for push pull. I'm going to pull it up and type in 1.5, and now I can turn the visibility of my guides back off again, and then I'll take and triple click on this and make it a group. So there's the first board, and I could do that 5 or 6 more times if I wanted. Again, there's a lot of different ways to get from no tabletop to completed tabletop, but I'm going to show you a different tool that's built into SketchUp. So I'm going to begin by choosing to move this 2x6, and I'm going to deliberately pick that corner of the 2x6, and I'm going to drag it along the green axis, tap my Option or Alt key to make a copy, and plunk it right there. Now, how do I fill up the spaces in between? Well, notice I haven't clicked the mouse other than to place it right there, and I haven't done anything anywhere else. So what I'm going to do though, and as long as you haven't touched your mouse or you clicked anywhere, just going to go ahead and type in 3 divided by and hit enter. And it puts those in, and it creates 3 2x6s equally spaced apart. So this time, again, without touching anything, I'm going to type in 4 divided by, and that's better. Let's try 5 divided by. Oh, and that's really good. Let's try 6 divided by. Nope, that puts a board inside of a board. So let's go back and just type in 5 divided by, and our tabletop is done. There's one more thing we can do if we want, and that is we could take and let's go to our views here. There we go. Let's just go ahead and go to an end view here, and I'll pan down, use my select tool to grab those 6 different parts that make up the tabletop, and I can right click and make those a group. So let's go ahead and bring back our chair. I'll come over here under the display panel and choose to view hidden geometry and hidden objects, and then there's my chair right there. So I'm going to go ahead and unhide it. By the way, as we're kind of panning around here, you can see that our table and chair are pretty much proportional to this lady right here, and so we probably did a pretty good job building our objects true shape and true size. I'm going to turn that back off. I'm going to go ahead and just delete the lady, and then I'm going to arrange my furniture. So M for move, and so I'll place that chair. Let's see, I'll move it along the red axis there, maybe put it about there, and then I'll move another one. So M for move, start to pull across, type Option or Alt. So I've now got 2 chairs spaced, and then I'm going to select both of these chairs with my select tool. I'm going to type in Q for rotate. I'm going to say click out here. I'm going to come out and want to stay along my red or green axis, click, start to move around. Again, tap Option or Alt to make copies. So now I've got 2 more chairs, M for move, and I'll put them over about right there, and then I'll go to my top view, select these, M for move, click, and just kind of get them lined up. And of course you can adjust those any way that you want. So now let's say we want to go ahead and apply a material to our table, and we want it to be the same material as the chair, but we don't remember what material we used. Well, up here, when we open up the paint bucket tool, one of the nested tools is the eyedropper tool. So I'll click on that, I'll select a chair, and then paint that, and we are essentially done with the table. We'll just go ahead and do one last thing to embellish our model, and that is to add some flowers. So I'm going to go to the 3D warehouse, and I'm going to go ahead and look for vase with flowers. Now the 3D warehouse, your mileage is going to vary greatly because almost all of the content has been uploaded by people like you and I, and they may have named it well, they may not have. But let's see what we can get. So I'll hit enter for search. That looks like an image there. Not quite sure. Those are some steel vases or something. I like that one. So I'll just go ahead and click to download it. And when I do, when it's done downloading, it is attached to my cursor. So I'm going to go ahead and put it right there at the midpoint in the group. And you can go ahead and add dishes and plates, and, find it on 3D Warehouse. That'd be great. You can put in a carpet underneath. So let's go ahead and add a carpet, but before we can add a carpet, we're just going to go ahead and go carpet shopping. So I'm going to type in Persian carpet, and just like 3D Warehouse, who knows what we'll get. And I'll go ahead and go to images. And unless there's something really specific I want, it's good to filter your results and choose a large size image. You can always scale an image down, but if you scale it up too much, it becomes pixelated. So let's see, let's go ahead and look at this one here, and we're going to go ahead and save that image, and I'm just going to call it a rug, just because I type so slow. And so we'll go back into SketchUp now, and we'll come up here to the three little bars, and we're going to choose to insert. And one of the things that we can choose to do is insert it as a JPEG file, which this was. So we'll click your computer, and I'll go to my rug and double click on it, and I'm going to insert it as an image. And so now I've got this rug attached to my cursor, and so I'm just going to go ahead and plop it. Yeah, see, it's snapping to all kinds of stuff. So let's put it right there, and then let's go ahead and scale it up with that second mouse click. So let's go to our top view, and I'll go ahead and type in M for move, and I'll just click up in this corner and get it centered. Let's go back to a 3D view here, and I think that adds a real nice addition to our table and chairs. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know, let your teacher know. Your teacher can get back to me. I'm here to help, and bye for now.